Good evening, everyone. It's Hugh from Financially Free by 40, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about frugal living and specifically why I'm moving away from it. So, most of you will be aware that are watching this YouTube channel of my blog, Financially Free by 40, and if you followed me from the start, or if you're new to it, you check out my post to start with, you'll see that the first year of what I post about is all about reducing expenses, and that is. I got quite obsessed about it actually, and anyone that knows me could back that up. And more recently now, I've gone, I wouldn't say full circle, but I've moved heavily away from that now. And I'm focusing on producing wealth, production rather than reduction. And it has been a steady progression for me, and Kindle publishing has been a big part of that. But I just want to talk about a podcast in particular that really made me rethink about my whole budgeting schedule and what I'm currently doing, the mindset that I'm trying to adopt. So first of all, I just want to call this out. The podcast that I saw was from Elrod's Achieve Your Goals podcast, and he interviewed Garrett Gunderson at the end of last year. By me listening to this in one lunch hour, it actually stopped me from writing my book. It's just that simple. I was just so taken back by what this guy said. It strung a chord with me, and it made me think, actually, everything I'm writing about isn't right. I don't believe this anymore. Another way of putting this, and I heard this in another podcast. There's phase one of looking after your finances, and there's phase two. So phase one is getting your shit together, getting your house in order, getting your budgeting down, understanding what's coming in and what's going out, cutting expenses, increasing income to a minor degree. Phase two is really about production and wealth creation, and I've stepped into that bracket now. So let me go into some detail and explain what this chap did, what the premise is behind that, and why I'm moving away from frugal living. So at the start of my blog, you will see it's very evident that I was going into the save mentality. And I thought that was the best way to go about it, and everyone was an idiot for not doing that. But I have since changed my mind. What I didn't notice about myself, which now I can look back and see, is that I was living in a scarcity mindset. I was just trying to save things rather than grow things. I know I was putting that money into investments, but I was preventing myself from buying or spending money as much as possible. That was my main point of focus. And that then led me to have more of a scarcity mindset and become very tight, actually. A lot of people have called me tight. I would not put money into charity. I wasn't putting money into other people's presents. I wasn't taking the time to spend money to pay for petrol to drive to people's houses. And I wasn't putting money into myself. It wasn't that I was like, screw the world, not at all. It was just, I didn't value that in myself. I felt every penny spent was a penny wasted, which is a really sad, narrow-minded way to think. And I'm glad that I've got myself out of that now. This podcast that I was watching, Garrett focuses on three main principles to help people focus differently on money, and I want to share those three with you because they really did help me. So the first one was, you are your greatest asset, which kind of comes around from the last point that I mentioned there. It isn't the stock, it isn't a bond, it's not a property investment, it's you. You will earn, you have more potential to earn more money than any other asset out there. And like any other asset you have, if you have a property, it makes sense to maintain it or to grow it, to add value to it. And it's a really easy way of doing that for human beings. We can learn and grow and develop every single day. So every single day you can spend time, even if it's half an hour, or in my case it's like an hour and a half every day, where I'm looking to learn, grow, write, and just become that little bit better, like 1% better every day. And the more intelligent you get, the more experience you get, the more knowledge you have to share with others, you can create more value for people and become a more valuable asset and earn much, much, much more money than you would by putting that similar money in a stock or a share. A good example of that is like a book. So, I've got books everywhere now. So spending £10, the amount of money you get back for that the return on investment on a book is ridiculous. There's a person that's lived their entire life that has made countless mistakes, spent thousands, millions of pounds even, and they're telling you how to, how to do things. The greatest minds on the planet that you can access for £10. So that kind of like drills home that point. He didn't have to argue, he was preaching to the choir on that one really, but that did compound what I was doing and help me continue with my morning routine every day. The second one was cash flow over accumulation. And as an income investor, this one I didn't need too much persuading on either, but it was reassuring to hear someone that's very successful in a finance industry back up my thoughts. So I'm someone that has invested in individual shares, and I ask for that income to come into my account, then I decide what I do with it. I know a lot of people will either have an accumulation fund or they'll have their dividends automatically renew back into the company. Now, if you can get that very cheaply, then that makes sense to do that. If you can reinvest your dividends at a low rate and save from that. But otherwise, it makes sense in my mind to have all that money accumulated from your different shares and then to look around to see where the best value is at that time, and then to take the plunge, rather than just put straight back in, because that fund that's paid you at the time, that share that's paid you, might be perceived overvalue at the time. And it doesn't make sense putting more money back into that when you could put it somewhere else and for it to work harder. So that philosophy makes sense to me. And he's saying, and I know a lot of people agree with him, that cash flow is king, and you want to create sources of income that come into you and enable you to have cash straight away. The downside to accumulation is you don't see it right until the end game, which is what, your retirement perhaps. So you might be saving for 10, 15, 20, 40, 50 years until you're getting that. It's out of your control and you don't have the choice to deal with it until that point comes. And then when it does, you have to sell stock in order to get that. Again, I'm not criticizing anyone that goes down that route here. It's just that I can understand the philosophy behind having cash flow and having that choice and that option. Number 3, focus, don't diversify. So this is something that was, mind blow for me actually. So he's saying that diversification is the mantra of ignorance. So he's saying you're admitting that you actually don't know what you're doing, and that what you should really be doing is focusing on what pays and milk that bad boy. So if you find a share that's heavily undervalued and it ticks all the right boxes, then you should heavily invest in that rather than thin out your money and end up thinning out your returns. This isn't just about shares, by the way. This can be about anything that you're doing. Maybe it is Kindle publishing or another format that you're doing where you can add value to someone. If you know something's working for you, plow into that. It's not, milk that for as much as you can. And he's saying that you should put all your eggs into one basket and watch it like a hawk. And that was just a really interesting concept for me, and one that, again, compounded my thought process to put money back into Kindle at the time being, because I'm getting my money, I'm getting 100% return on investment in a month or two, and then everything else is extra. So why would I put money in shares where I get 5% a year at the moment? That is part of my strategy, but it needs to be a smaller part, because this wealth creation, the wealth growth stage, is better placed with me putting in investments like Kindle, where I'm getting huge returns on investment. And those are the 3 strategies that I wanted to share with you. So I thought, those weren't just the highlights from the podcast itself. There were some other points that I want to go on to now, and specifically about budgeting. So his first point is that he believes that budgeting is all about constraint, and that its very nature is to get you to think about what you can cut out and what you can eliminate. And so that's exactly what I was doing back in 2014. I would just look to eliminate absolutely everything, including my own welfare and stuff that makes me happy. So again, I'm not having a dig here at people that do that, because I think, and you can see from the evidence in my blog, that when it comes to frugal living, I was living quite tight to the bone on that front. So I was probably about as bad as anyone on that front. What he's saying specifically is not that if you're paying a service charge, you're paying for a phone bill and you can get it cheaper, then get it cheaper. Because if you're getting the same thing but you're saving 50%, then get that. What he's specifically talking about is when you budget, you can get on a mindset where you're stopping yourself benefiting from the things that really add value to your life, such as socializing, such as personal development courses and books along those lines. So, the danger of frugal living, which is what I fell into completely, is that you look at everything and you just cast under the same radar as spending money. So whether that, and it gets blurry on what's beneficial or not, because it's just spending money, and that's bad. From that concept, I really get what he's talking about. I want to read this bit out because it took me I had to actually write it down and reread it to kind of understand it, but I think it's really important too. So what he's saying here is value creation is the catalyst in the world that creates exchange. So creating value for something is the starting point in the world that creates exchange, i.e. exchange of services or exchange of money. So exchange creates wealth, and pounds follow value, and budgeting quashes value. So those are just some statements he's put there. So I'm just going to go over those again. I explained the first one. The second was exchange creates wealth. So once you're exchanging services and knowledge or products, that is going to create wealth in turn. The pounds follow value. So the person that can offer a better service, a better product, is going to get more value. That makes sense so far, right? And he believes that budgeting squashes value. It takes away the idea of creating value. So don't budget things out of your life that create value. Invest in yourself, invest in those books and courses, invest in seeing your friends, and become a better version of yourself. Is a little summary of that. And I like this phrase that he's put. Think of it as production rather than reduction. Okay, so here's a question that came up on that podcast. When you think about living within your means, what do you think about? And I thought of exactly what he said, and I think many of you will feel the same way. Living within your means, I naturally think of cutting things out of your life, cutting down bills, cutting down, maybe stopping the coffee, or the Starbucks coffee, or whatever it is, your monthly subscription to something. And he's suggesting that there's another way to look at living within your means, and that's actually expanding the amount of income that you bring in, because there are two sides of the coin. Living within your means, it's money in and money out, and a lot of people just think about the money out when it comes to that point. But the ceiling for money out is so much smaller, so much lower than the ceiling, which is effectively limitless for income. So just think about it in taking my example. So on my blog, when I started in March of 14, I started recording my expenses. And that year, I'd got it below £830 a month, which worked out to under 10 grand a year that I could live on. And it was something I was really, really proud of at the time. And I still am to a degree. But what did that change from? Well, I wasn't recording it in January or February, so I don't know. I didn't actually spend the time to work it out. But based on what I'm spending now, and just as a guess, I would say it was probably around 1,100 tops, actually. If I was being over the top, I would say it wouldn't be any more than £1,200 a month that I was spending. So it took me an entire year of progression and learning and developing to bring my expenses down from 1,200 to, let's be really generous and say it got down to 800, because it wasn't that low. But that's £400 a month that I was able to earn in an entire year. Then you flip the switch on Kindle, which is just one way to earn money. There are loads of ways of earning cash. And from investing in that in 12 months, I went from earning, I think under a tenner in month one, to earning over £5,000 in a year. So you've got, say, £400 or earning £5,000, over 10 times more effective. And I think that just demonstrates his point absolutely. By phase one of getting your finances down in order, because you can still earn £5,000 a month or even £1 million a year and be broke if you're spending every single penny. So it's not what you spend, it's what you save. But the danger of that and getting into the habit is neglecting investing in yourself and benefiting from the things that really create value. So how do you create more value? Easy, right? Well, it's about production rather than reduction. And specifically, it's about trying to create more value in the lives of other people. And you can do that by solving a problem or serving them in some way. And how do you do that? The most effective way of doing it, I was going to say easiest, and it's not the easiest, but it's the most effective way, is following your passion through 100%. So stop wasting your time in a job that you aren't happy with. You need to resolve that, and you need to get out of that, and follow what you're really truly passionate on the side until it generates enough money for you to just ditch it completely. Because the truth is, when you go after something that you truly believe in and you're passionate about, you have a much greater chance of being successful at it and getting more people to get involved. If you're following that, you're following a life. If you can, basically that's it. If you can get a purpose and a vision behind what you really want to get out of life, people will buy into that. People are attracted to other people that live in a life of purpose. So if you've got your mind set on something and you go after it full steam and nothing's stopping me, you will draw people into that. Because you're on that path, you have a better chance of reaching greatness in that field. And if you offering greatness, the chances are the products that you're doing, the services you're offering, will be at a much higher standard, meaning your exchange will be so much higher because you'll be offering more value. So how have I done that? Just need to look at my Kindle publishing now, and that's gone from strength to strength, and I'm earning more money than I ever done in my life. I wanted to try other formats to reach more people. So creating value, you can either, if you're doing something right now, let's say like Kindle publishing, so maybe you don't have to start from scratch, then you have to take what you're currently doing and go on a deeper level, so get better at what you're doing to take it to another stage, or it's a volume game and you need to reach more people. So maybe you are at a level that is so high right now you can't take that any further. Okay, then you need just to get out there in front of more people. And for me, I noticed that with my coaching. So when I started doing that in November, that's what I'm really passionate about. Kindle publishing, I enjoy, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't make me jump out of bed and skip down the street like coaching does. So I've had to, in a fortunate position where I've had to turn people away because I don't have the time to give them the full dedication of value I want to offer them. So I think it's 1 in 5, I think. So I've taken on, 20% of the people. I've had to turn 80% of people away that want to give me money and invest in me. And I say, oh, I can't serve you right now. I mean, I've got to fix that. So the way I've gone about that is trying to put my focus on delivering an online course. So people you don't need to speak to me. That's going to do a massive amount of work for me. It's going to reach more people because there'll be a lower barrier of entry as well. It'll be a lower cost to do that because you won't be tackling with me one-to-one and having accountability. So it'll be a lower price point. But that's a way that I'm able to get my message out there and reach more people. And in turn, what will come off the back of that? Well, I'll be helping more people achieve the success that I have, getting thousands of pounds a month, getting financially free, helping other people, and I will become wealthy off the back of that. That's not the main purpose for that. If it's just about chasing the money and doing a duff product, then it's not going to sell. But if I focus on providing something and trying to offer something of true value, the money's just going to follow. So that's how I've tried to incorporate that and not worry too much about the cost of the microphone I'm setting up, the Camtasia Studio, the website, and the cost. I'm thinking of, obviously if I can get a better value option and spend less but get something much better, then great. But I'm not going to be stewing and obsessing over that and trying to save £5. You spend half an hour to save £5. It's not worth it for me. Just get one that's good enough and then move on and offer the key value. So there was a couple of summary points just wanted to go over because there was quite a lot I've talked about. So the first one of which was invest in yourself, refine your skills, improve them every single day, and become the best version of yourself you can be, and that therefore will result in you adding more value to the lives of others. Seek cash flow rather than accumulation, and focus on Focus on the big wins rather than diversifying over everything. So if something's working for you right now, then hone in on that. Spend all your time, your focus on that, and really refine it and watch it like a hawk and see how far you can take that. This type of living and impacting other people's lives, serving other people, offering products is going to give you a new side of richness that you won't receive from frugal living. So if you're saving 50% off a couch, that's not going to be the same as transforming someone's life through offering something to them that you're passionate about. And off the back of that, you will generate more wealth for not only you, but for more people. So this is the path that I'm going on. It's a new stage in my life. I'm moving away from frugal living. I'm not abandoning it. I don't disagree with it. It's just I'm changing my mind shift to help reach more people, to get more out of my life by helping other people, and in turn the money will follow with that. And so far it's proven to be true. So I hope you found this video useful. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I know it's a little bit of a controversial subject from people. I know I'm speaking to a lot of people that are frugal out there, so I want to hear your views. Tell me if you like the video or not, and why not, and come onto the blog, leave your comments, and subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up if you like the video. But thanks for your time, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.